Welcome back to my Docker series. In the last video, we explored running and managing containers. Today we will dive into Docker images, what they are, how to build your own Docker image, and how to share them on Docker Hub. Let's go. What we learn in here. We will go on step by step how to create a Docker file. After that, we will build and run our custom image from our Docker file. And at the end, we will push our Docker image on Docker Hub. What is Docker image? What is Docker file? How to build and run and also push on Docker Hub. Docker images are lightweight, standalone and executable packages that include everything needed to run an application, such as code, runtime, libraries, and system tools. Before we dive into writing a Docker file, what is Docker file? A Docker file is a text file that contains instruction for building a Docker image. A Docker file is used to automate the creation of a Docker image instead of manually configuring an environment. Also, we will go on and build and run our custom image from our Docker file that we create. Also, we will push our image on Docker Hub. Pushing an image to Docker Hub means uploading a Docker container image from your local environment to Docker Hub. This makes the image accessible online, allowing others to pull our image on their environment. Now let's go on to create step by step a Docker file. Before everything, let's set up the project. Ensure the project folder has all the necessary files, dependencies, libraries, codes, runtime, everything. And after that, let's write a Docker file. Inside the project directory, create a file named Dockerfile. Let's go and create a file named Dockerfile. This is my Ubuntu server that I have installed earlier. We installed Docker on this. Sudo Docker version. This is the version of our Docker that we installed earlier. We do not have any running container. We do not have any stopped container. We will create a Docker file. First, set up the project. Ensure the project folder has all the necessary files. I have a folder called project. Inside of my folder, there is all the dependencies about my project. I have CSS files, fonts, image, index.html, JavaScript file, videos, everything that a project needs. This is a static web page which has JavaScript file, CSS, fonts, and images. We will create a Docker file that makes this project as an image. And also we will containerize this application. Inside of the project folder, you have to create a file named Dockerfile. Sudo nano Dockerfile. Pay attention that your Docker file should have this format of writing. This is an empty file. Inside of this file, you have to write some instruction about creating a Docker file. This is the format of a Docker file from Nginx Alpine. What is this? The base of our project is Nginx. Nginx is a web server that serves web applications. What is Alpine? Alpine is a lightweight Nginx image version. It's perfect for serving static files. Our web page is a static web page. We will serve it by Nginx web server. What is copy./user? This ensures our application file are served by Nginx web server. We will copy all the codes, all the dependencies, and all the libraries from this folder that we create Docker file to user share Nginx HTML. This is the path where Nginx will serve our web application. Expose port 80. Expose it means allow port 80 for HTTP traffic. We will allow port 80 to serve by our Nginx server. cmd Nginx. This command run our Nginx on the foreground. These are the format of writing a Docker file. Now let's write our Docker file. The base of our image is Nginx. From Nginx, Alpine is the version of an Nginx image. It's lightweight, fast for serving static files. We will copy all the codes, libraries, dependencies from our local folder that we are inside to Nginx web server root that will be served by Nginx. We will copy all the ports. This is the source and this is the destination. User share Nginx HTML. Expose port 80. Allow port 80 for our Nginx traffic. You can also use any port that you want. Now our Docker file is ready to serve our project with the base of Nginx Alpine. Allow port 80. Also, we will copy all the dependencies, all the code to Nginx web, to Nginx root directory. Let's save it. Ctrl O, Ctrl X. ls. This is our Docker file that we created now. Now it's the time to build our image from our Docker file that we created. Navigate to the folder that is our Docker file. Docker build -t my project email. -t it means assign a name and tag your project. Dot it means current directory that we are inside is the build context. After this command, we will show all the images, and also we can run with Docker run our image. Let's have it. cd project. We are inside of our project. Now you can build your image from your Docker file. Sudo docker build -t. Tag your project. My project image. Dot it means we are inside of a folder that is our build context. Hit enter. The image created successfully. Sudo docker image. This is the image that we created from our Docker file. Inside of this image, there is all the dependencies, all the codes, HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files that we have for our project. Now you can run this image as a container. Sudo docker run my container. On the background, assign a port number. As we exposed port 80, on the port 80, we will name our container running container. We will name it what running container. What we run is this image. Sudo docker ps. This is the container that is running. How to test it? Navigate to your browser. What is my server IP? This is the IP address of my server. We exposed port 80. Now our web page is serving by Nginx web server with Alpine version. We exposed port 80. This image is ready and our container is now up and running. Next step is that we pull this image on Docker Hub. First of all, you have to navigate to Docker Hub. Sign in on your Docker account. Navigate to repository. Create a new repository. Name it everything that you want. My project. I name it project. Should it be available for everyone or it should be only visible to you? I want that it should be public. Our repository created successfully. Now we will push our custom image that we created from our Dockerfile to Docker Hub. First of all, ensure that you are logged into your Docker Hub. These are the commands. First of all, log into your Docker Hub from your server. Sudo docker login, provide your username. My username on Docker Hub is the password. Login is successful. It's the time to tag our project. Sudo docker tag my project image that we created earlier. Docker username / docker repository that we created. Also, we will tag this is my project version 1.0. Hit enter. We tagged our project successfully. Sudo docker image. This is my project. The tag number is 1.0. We tagged this successfully. Now push it to Docker Hub. Sudo docker push your Docker account / Docker repository colon your tag number that you assigned. Just wait. Pushed our image successfully on Docker Hub. Now let's verify that to push our image on Docker Hub or no. Navigate to your Docker Hub repository. Refresh it. Yes, this is the version of your application that you pushed it on your Docker Hub. Now everyone are available to pull your image and run on their Docker with all the dependencies. Now everyone can search your username and pull your image with all their dependencies. This is my image that I created earlier. Now they can copy this command and run on their server. While this Docker image uses Nginx to serve your static HTML website efficiently. Once deployed, it provides a lightweight containerized environment for your website, making it easy to run on any machine with Docker installed or Docker run. Now try building your own Docker image and share it on Docker Hub. Let me know on the comments what you created. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more tutorials.